الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم
الحمد لله
الحمد لله
الحمد لله
الحمد لله
الحمد لله رب العالمين
الحمد لله رب العالمين
وعلى النبي الكريم
صلى الله عليه وسلم
بسم الإله بدأت مقالي وصليت بعد على أحمد محمد من جاءنا بالهدى الذين بهم أقتدي روي إلهي بنور جميل بها مربي شيخ التجاني رضا الله دوما كمثل الغمام على صاحب الفيدة الكولخي وللشيخ سيسي سألت رضاك بلغ سلامي إلى ذا الإلوري وأولنا كله غافرا ملهم فهو شيخي ودربي على بجود له سرمدا للدعاء وأزكى امتداحي وعن اللي برغى ما سكر وجدد له كل خير
ألا إله إلا الله ربنا ألا لا إله إلا الله وحسبنا
وعلى بوجود له سرمدا بكل دعاء وازكى امتداهي وعن اللي برغى محاسن كرامنا وجدد له كل خير لقد ظن بالخير رغم افتقاري ولكن ربي مخفي العيوب فساتر إلى الورى كل عيب أنا اللي عبدك شفي مليء الذنوب وزل المريدين رزقا وحبي فلا تتركني وأنت رجائي على كل كيد العدا فحفظني فشتت وبدد جميع الهادي
ألا إله إلا الله ربنا ألا لا إله إلا الله وحسبنا
على كل كيد العدا فاحفظني وشتت وبدد جميع الهادي أجب إلهي فهذا دعائي وأنت المرجى لكشف الكروب فأزكى صلاتي وأنما سلامي على خير خالقك يا ذا الجلال
ألا إله إلا الله ربنا لا إله إلا الله وحسبنا
لفقدك طلاب الحلوم تحزنوا لفقدك طلاب العلوم تحزنوا أجادوا بدمع لا يبيد جزير لو يختلطوا مع المدامع بالدماء لكان قليلا فيك شيخ ولا بدون
لكان قليلا فيك شيء ولا بدون
لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول لا إله إلا الله
لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله
معك بابا
آمين
معك ألفا
آمين
معك بابا
آمين
àlùfáà wa.
àmín.
bàbá Sheikh wa Labidun bá wa kẹ́ bàbá wa.
àmín. la ilaha illallah.
la ilaha illallah.
la ilaha illallah. la ilaha illallah. muhammadu rasulullah. la ilaha illallah.
ففهمنا سليمان وكلنا أتينا حكما وعلما وسخرنا مع داود الجبال يسبحن والطير وكنا فاعلين. يا حي يا قيوم يا رب موسى وهارون ونوح وإبراهيم وعيسى ومحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم أكرمنا بجودة الحفظ وسرعة الفهم وارزقنا الحكمة وثبات الزين والأكل والعلم بحق محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم يا رب العالمين.
آمين.
اللهم افتح لنا كتابك وسنة نبيك ظاهرا وباطنا وارزقنا العمل بهما بجائزاتك المقدسة يا رب العالمين.
آمين.
وأدعو إلى طيب من القول وأدعو إلى صراط الحميد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
يا أيها النبي إذا جاءك المؤمنات يبايعنك على ألا يشركن بالله شيئا ألا يشركن بالله شيئا ولا يسرقن ولا يزنين ولا يقتلن أولادهن ولا يأتين ببهتان يفترينه بين أيديهن وأرجلهن ولا يعصينك في معروف فبايعوهن واستغفر لهن الله إن الله غفور رحيم.
يا أيها النبي إذا جاءك المؤمنات يبيعنك على ألا يشركن بالله شيئا ولا يسرقن ولا يزنين ولا يقتلن أولادهن ولا يأتين ببهتان يفترينه بين أيديهن وأرجلهن ولا يعصينك في معروف فبيهن واستغفر لهن الله إن الله غفور رحيم.
الحمد لله وكفى
الحمد لله.
والصلاة والسلام على رسوله المصطفى
صلى الله عليه وسلم
وعلى آله الشرفاء وأصحابه آل الوفاء عدد رضا الله ووفائه. نحمدك الله ونستغفرك ونؤمن بك ونعوذ بك من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. صل اللهم وسلم سلاما دائما وصلاة تامة على الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والآدي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره ومقداره العظيم.
آمين.
ورضي الله عن مشايخنا على قيادة مولانا شأمل التجاني
رضي الله تعالى
عن صاحب الفائدة الكبرى مولانا شيخ إبراهيم ياس
رضي الله تعالى
عن خليفة الشيخ وسبتئ مولانا شيخ علي السيسي وشيخ حسن
رضي
السيسي
الله تعالى
رضي الله عن أبي وجدي ومرشدي ومربي مولانا شيخ عبد الرحمن وشيخ عبد الله لبيدون
رضي الله تعالى
رضي الله عن عجوبة الزمان مولانا شيخ كمال الدين الأدبي
رضي الله تعالى
رضي الله عن ضمير العلم ومعناه مولانا شيخ آدم عبد الله
رضي
لوري
الله تعالى
رضي الله عن جميع أمواتنا ومولانا سر الله المتلسم مولانا شيخ محمد الأول
رضي الله تعالى.
اللهم زد مغفرة ورحمة يا الله يا رب العالمين.
آمين.
إن شاء الله هذا هو آخر أيام نهاية الأسبوع، ومن الممكن أن نعود إلى هذا المكان غدا لغرض معلوم، وإن أمكن إن شاء الله نستأنف ما نحن عليه من بداية رمضان، وإلا فسيكون الاستكمال في يوم الجمعة القابلة، أو في اليوم الجمعة القابل إن شئت. إن قصدت بذلك اليوم تقول القابل، وإن قصدت بذلك الجمعة تقول يوم الجمعة القابلة، وسيكون القابلة هنا للجمعة النعت، يعني الجمعة القابلة نعت ومنعوت، صح؟ والجمعة هنالك يكون هي المنعوتة. طيب، وحيثما بدنا بأمس أو نمنا إنجاز التعبير كما يقولون آباؤنا في نيجيريا، حيثما توقفوا عند آيات أثناء تفسيرهم يوما وعادوا إليه في يوم التالي، يقولون نبدأ حيثما نمنا بالأمس، ونمنا على الأمر مصافحة الرجال النساء والعكس وما يتعلق بذلك من شريعة الإسلامية، ونثبت أن هذا ليس يعني أن الإسلام يهين أو يحكر إنسانية المرأة أو النساء، لكن الإسلام جاء لإثبات أن للمرأة حرمة مسجلة في الكتاب مسنونة من شريعة الإسلام وحديث الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم، وهذا مننا عليه بالأمس، ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يفهمنا كلامه وأن يديم علينا رحمته ويتقبل منا صيامنا، وأن يجعل الجزء الأول في رمضان لنا زيادة المغفرة، وأوسطه زيادة الرحمة، وما بقي منه يجعلنا فيه من العتكاء من النار، يا الله يا رب العالمين.
آمين.
طيب. We thank Allah Azza wa Jalla,
Alhamdulillah,
Lord of the world and everything in it. We stopped on the issue of what we should say, rather, that we continue with the topic about women and humanity, and also to further entrench the fact that Islam came to establish the humanity of women. Islam has not come to ignore the place of women in our society, and we further explained that since the cattle of mankind, of course you cannot take away the fact that women play a very vital role in the evolution of mankind, and therefore when we're discussing humanity, when we're discussing women, it is important that we discuss that topic in reference to their humanity, which is what the society has stripped away from a lot of them, which has been sold back to them as liberty, and they've been deceived into believing that Islam is a religion that's stripped them of their humanity, and they will use a lot of despicable, so to say, evidences to support that unfounded fact, when of course the truth is that Islam has come to establish and entrench the rights and humanity of women. There are cases about our women wearing hijab is a conscious effort for Islam to deny them their right to expose their body the way they want. And of course, we stopped on a very hot topic yesterday about women shaking men and men shaking women. And of course, that also, we should preface that by saying the fact that our religion even cares to the point that it discusses who should shake who, in itself should tell you how comprehensive this religion is. I'm not sure if you find any other scripture that explicitly backed by the hadith, which of course التفسير الأول للقرآن وحديث الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. The first explanation of the Quran is the hadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that the Prophet would devote so much time, and the scholars of Islam would devote so much time to discussing issues around women, but unfortunately because of shift in terms of understanding and time, what used to be, what was intended to be to be beneficial to women had unfortunately been turned around against Islam and against the people of the deen. And we discussed yesterday about the Prophet ﷺ, when the women would come to him and accept Islam. When men would come, of course, he would exchange handshake with them. And women would come, he would not exchange handshake with them. And some had said, in the hadith that we read, and the woman asked, "Are you not going to shake us?" And of course, you can almost imagine rather, how she would have asked that question, because definitely she had seen how men were doing their own bayah. And if it is true that Islam, guarantees equal rights to everybody, if we go to the Prophet and he gives us bayah, he should also shake our hands. See, the feminists, they've been around for a very long time. It's not just now that you see them all around. As a matter of fact, there was one woman who was responsible for the death of Hamza. When she came to accept Islam, she was, while even doing that, she was trying to, stir up women against Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And eventually, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she held the hand of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because she had initially said she did not want Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to hear her voice, and she asked other women to ask her a question. And the woman did not budge. So eventually Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam heard her voice, and he made it known to her that I know who you are. And she held his hand, not him holding his, her hand, right? She held Prophet's hand, and the Prophet just laughed and said, "Afallahu amma salaf." Allah had forgiven, all past sins are forgiven, so to say. But our intention, even though she had said she had come to give bayah, but the intention was to stir up women so they could go on rampage and stuff. But the Prophet, because of the wisdom Allah had granted him, was able to prevent that from happening. Now, so there have been questions about, so if we say women should not shake men and men should not shake women, so Islam did not leave any issues without discussing them in details. And of course, ijtihad has allowed us, as times go by, to do تجديد النظر إلى بعض الأمور الشرعية, whereby we look at them again and say, okay, so based on the time that we live in, are there conditions given to us in Islam? There are things that will never change. Prayer will never change. Zakat will not change. Psalm will not change. Hajj will not change. Shahadat la ilaha illallah wa Muhammad Rasulullah will not change. But there are conditions around them that can change based on the time that we live in. To further prove that Islam is a religion of humanity, not a religion of animals. If we say, oh no, the way it is the way we must do it, and we cannot discuss it, well, Prophet said, I've now come back, except that to perfect the best of all attributes. And part of the best attribute is to be educated. And if you say people that are educated cannot discuss issues, well, that defeats the purpose. And the further purpose, the Prophet says that we should all seek knowledge, men and women, right? It's compulsory to seek knowledge. So when you seek knowledge, you're going to be able to think beyond someone who's not knowledgeable, and therefore there will be questions. And just like we mentioned in one of the qaida, as-su'al yaqtadi jawaba, as-su'al yaqtadi al-jawaba. When you ask questions, it must be answered. So for as long as Muslims are educated, there will be questions raised. There's got to be answers to those questions. وَإِن لَمْ نَدْرِ نَقُولْ لَا أَدْرِ وَهَذَا أفضل العلم أن يكون طالب العلم أو العالم لا يدري إن لم يدري. The best of knowledge is if someone does not know, to say what? I don't know. And even I don't know creates opportunity for what? To learn. Because ignorance of the law is not what? It's not an excuse. You don't know, yes, it doesn't mean you're not going to know. It means that gives you an opportunity to go ahead and do what? and find out. One of the things that we're blessed with in Islam is the fact that we have scholars who started from I don't know to I'm finding out, and for that reason, you have volumes of books. It's only in Islam that we see scholars of Islam discussing one issue, and they will write 200 volumes, subhanAllah. Thank God they didn't live in a time like this, because 200 volumes of book is not easy to write. I wonder how they work. But they did all of that to ensure that there was no questions left unanswered. But because humans evolve, there is no way you're going to be able to answer all questions. Some said, well, you said you should not shake women, but there is a Sahih Bukhari, and Anas bin Malik, he said, إن كانت الأمة من إماء أهل المدينة لتأخذ بيد رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم فتنطلق به حيث شاءت. Some uses hadith to say that of course, women can shake men. Because there is an hadith in Sahih Bukhari by Anas bin Malik. Anas bin Malik, as you all know, and we're going to go to her mother as well, to his mother as well. It's very, very, very essential. Anas bin Malik, he was given to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he arrived, the day, according to scholars, the day he arrived in Medina by his mother. And he said, I give you this boy, his life and his death. And he prayed for him and all that. So he was very knowledgeable. And he one of the two Sahabas who outlived any other Sahaba. Arguably was the one that lived the longest. And some said the other one. So he knew so much about Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We're saying this to previous the fact that his words can be taken as an authority. He had said, even if a slave girl among the female slaves of Medina would come to Muhammad and hold his hand and take him to wherever she wants to take him, the Prophet ﷺ would not budge. So some were saying, if she can hold the hand of ﷺ, how come you say we cannot shake women? They said there's another one also that says,
يا أيها النبي إذا جاءك المؤمنات يبايعنك على ألا يشركن بالله شيئا ولا يسرقن ولا يزنين ولا يقتلن أولادهن ولا يأتين ببهتان يفترينه بين أيديهن وأرجلهن ولا يعصينك في معروف.
And that is the cattle of what we're discussing. لا يعصينك في معروف. Because when he told that woman that I do not shake women, for me to talk to a woman is equal to me talking to 100 women. You can almost imagine how that woman feels, right? But لا يعصينك في معروف. Part of the bayah, part of the covenants they gave was, we will not disobey your rules. And part of his rule is that what? I don't shake women, just accept it. Don't argue that. But hey, they're human. They will still do what? Ask questions. But it says, like I said, it says, we will not disobey you when you ask us to do anything ma'rufin. When you lead us to any kindness or any positive way. Because it will not just, the Prophet would never ever just give you blanket, instructions. The intention always is for the goodness of yourself and those around you and society. Like I've seen a kafi ma'rufin. They will not disobey you when you tell them what will benefit them. So him saying do not shake men itself is to do what? To benefit women. Not to take away from their humanity, rather to further say they are people of high esteem. So they said in riwayah of Imam Muhammad and Anas again, it says, إن كانت الوالدة يعني الأمة من ولاء دهال المدينة لتجئ فتأخذ بيد رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم فما ينزع يده من يدها حتى تذهب به حيث شاءت. If female slave will come to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if female slave comes to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and hold, his hand, it would not budge. And the scholars have said, well, that's true, but if you look at that very well, that's a parable. And it's only showing how human he is, not just to men, but to women, and even women who others would have deemed, not significant, so to say, who others would have deemed, slave girl, they amount to nothing. But he's saying even if slave girl come to him to demand their rights, to say we want to talk to our prophet, he would give them audience. And the same thing, and all of us that have people around us, we have to be conscious of that, right? No one has class. When it comes to a Zawiya like this, or a Markaz like this, nobody should be treated better than another person. I do not care what the status are. Every damn person has the right to see Sheikh. Well, of course, sometimes 100 people are not going to see me at the same time, right? There's got to be people that will say, okay, well, you can go now, you can. We have to respect that, because the intention is not for them to do what? To disrespect you, rather to stay organized. Now, what we've witnessed is, among students around the sheikhs, they have their own preferences as well. A lot of time they give preference to men who probably give them money over the women. And if the case turns around, they give preference to women who give them money over men. If you go to Kala, for instance, in the morning, a lot of people want to see him. And some other mashayikh as well, and we'll get there, there are khadim at the door, and they'll let you in, as, of course, you can tell, sometimes there are preferences. But these are prophets. He said, even if a slave woman will approach his door, this time around, she doesn't even have to go through any bawab, right? But rather, she asks to see a prophet. It is the right of the prophet to do what? To see her. Same thing if you're a sheikh. If someone want to see you, they have to see you. And I'm saying this to those around us as well, and those that will come and be around us. That is why people around me, they're all employed. They don't expect someone to give them tips before they see sheikh. Listen, that is part of the ailment we are trying to take care of. And a lot of issues we're not going to discuss until we get there. When you have a bunch of jobless people around you, and Allah puts you in a place, there will be preference, there will be, there will be classism, and that is based on who can drops the biggest tips. Right? So, and it shouldn't be like that based on what we just represent. So the scholars say that is a parable. It does not mean, however, that the woman will come and shake him. All right? And we'll discuss for that. Just hold your breath, because some people are now thinking, oh my God, we never, no. We're going to discuss that. We're never going to shake women no matter. What about women in our family? I know there are questions, What about someone that's not my wife, but she's my sister's wife and my wife's sister, and all those questions? And inshallah, we'll discuss all those. So the intent of that one is to show the respect, how much Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam respected women, even those that were deemed to be of lower class in the society, or the lowest class as the case may be. And this was, listen, he used that parable and slave girls as an example to let you know that even among slaves at the time, there was classism. Even among slaves, there was classism. He could have used slave men or just slave, but he specifically say al-amma, meaning a slave girl who is otherwise deemed, the bottom of all the bottom society. لا تاكرن امرأ قد كان ذا عادة وكم وديع من الأقوام قد راس فرب قوم جفوناهم ولم نرهم حقا لخدمتنا صاروا لنا روسا. لا تحكرن امرأ قد كان ذا عادة وكم وديع من الأقوام قد راس وكم وديع من الأقوام قد راس رب قوم جفوناهم ولم نرهم حقا لخدمتنا صاروا لنا روسا
حقا لخدمتنا صاروا لنا روسا.
لا تحقرن امرأ قد كان زادات. Do not disrespect anyone because of their class today. لا تحقرن امرأ قد كان زادات, because they are the bottom of society. Do not disrespect them based on that. فكم وديع من الأقوام قد رأسه. Many times those that were deemed to be the lowest of class eventually become the rulers. فرب قوم جفوناهم ولم نرهم حقا لخدمتنا صاروا لنا روسا.
حقا لخدمتنا صاروا لنا روسا.
فرب قوم جفوناهم ولم نرهم. Many are people that we have disrespected. جفوناهم, we were rude to them. ولم نرهم حقا لخدمتنا, we thought they were not worthy of our respect. صاروا لنا روسا, and they turned around to be our leaders. The Prophet
sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
الذي سماه الله أسوة حسنة. Those who Allah call them the best of all models for you. You do not practice classism. Men would, society would demand it. It would be as if those that give you money should be the one you should respect. But no, it shouldn't be. Every human is from Adam, and Adam is from the sand, and eventually all of us will return to that. And whenever I will feel like, I will intentionally, sometimes when I feel like there is someone who needs my attention and I've not been able to I will intentionally tell, that is the person I want to see today. Because you don't know, you're not in the minds of people, right? Some people will attribute your lack of attendance or audience for them to their present situation. Now it's left to you to ensure that you do not accept that. It is a house rock.
Ibi eji azoro ki o.
It has rock. Why did? Torí la fi níṣẹ́ o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni bàbá náà níṣẹ́.
Tí o yọ ní mọ̀lá ó bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ẹ̀dọ́ bá fún ní bribe jù ní ìwájú wọlé.
Ó bá fún ẹni tó wà lẹ́nu rẹ̀ ní bribe jù ló máa wọlé.
Àwọn ìyá wa sì rẹ̀ irú bribe yẹn ọkùnrin ò lè outdo wọn.
Àwọn ìyá wa kẹrẹ rí irú bribe táwọn máa ń fún yàn yẹn àwọn ọkùnrin ò lè ṣe o.
Owó nìkan lọkùnrin lè fún ọ.
Owó nìkan lọkùnrin lè fún yàn.
Obìnrin lè wú ọ.
Obìnrin lè wú ọ o.
Ó lè bọ́ ọ lọ́wọ́.
Ó lè bọ́ ọ lọ́wọ́ o.
Tí nǹkan sì ṣe ọ.
Nǹkan sì ṣe ọ́.
Wàlá ó sì lẹ́kùn.
Wàlá ó sì lẹ́kùn fún ara ló ṣí.
ayáda kúmọ́ bí náà sí.
كل الحوادث مبدأها من النظر يا بيجني كل الحوادث مبدأها من النظر ومعظم النار قلقي من مستصغر الشرر ومعظم النار من مستصغر الشرر أوني أون توف أبني تي وانيو
toughness ẹ̀yà lọlẹ̀ o.
كل الحوادث مبدأها من النظر كتي وانيو ó ní bí ó ṣe wọ̀ tí àdùálá ó sì bàjẹ́ mọ́ lára. Islam mẹ̀kẹ́ tí ń sìn á débẹ̀ tó ní kẹ́ máa rẹ ju yín lẹ̀ kò fẹ́ kó bá ọ nì. tí wọ́n ní àwọ̀ kò sí irú obìnrin náà obìnrin kan ò lè mú àwa nígbà tó mú ọtọ́ ló ń sọ̀rọ̀.
ìgbà tó mú ọtọ́ ló ń sọ̀rọ̀ o.
ó gẹ ló ní ọmọ wí tó wí.
ó ní kò máa wí tó wí o.
Kullul hawadisi mabda'ha min an-nazari ومعظم النار من مستصغر الشرر ومعظم النار من مستصغر الشرر. ìwọ ni máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ gbogbo wàhálà.
ìwọ ni máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ gbogbo fìtínà o.
ومعظم النار ìwọ mọ̀ pé iná bó ṣe wulẹ̀ kójò tó من مستصغر الشرر ìta warawara náà ní Mẹ́dínà. bó bá gbà á láàyè táwọn tí wọ́n jòkó ti àfáà tí wọ́n níṣẹ́ tí wọ́n ní ti ń jẹ ọkùnrin lè fowó bribe wọn ojúlóbìnrin ó fi bribe wọn láyé àṣẹ iná kẹfìl màrúfì láàbí sọ pé má bọ̀ wọn lọ́wọ́ ó sì lẹ́kùnlẹ̀ bó ṣe wò wọ́n sì pàṣẹ òsì lẹ́kùn tó jáde déètì ni wọ́n gbé wa ibi súnà ni.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni ló máa ń gbé wa o.
sọlá ilẹ̀.
يا أيها النبي إذا جاءك المؤمنات يبايعنك على ألا يشركن بالله شيئا ولا يسرقن ولا يزنين ولا يقتلن
at any evil in the society that emanates from their hands. And when they want to shake, they shake with their hands. When we're in high school, there's a particular kind of handshake that you were in high school in Nigeria. There's a particular handshake that you give women. On Islam easy le ju àwọn láti wọ́n mọ̀ pé Islam tó mọ̀ pé Islam ò lè wọ́n ló dá Islam ò lè there's a particular handshake you give women and it's a message. That's why it says behind the inna arjulihinna bẹ́ẹ̀ bá fọwọ́ fa wàhálà ẹ̀ má fẹsẹ̀ fa wàhálà ẹsẹ̀ ní obìnrin ìrètí kẹrin ní ọjọ́ lásán
ẹsẹ̀ yóò fi
obìnrin wala ya'sinaka fi ma'rufin ló fi tó gbó kí ní ẹlẹ́ra wọn torí gbogbo ní ó bàjọ́ jẹ́ wọ́n á ní pé and some said, well, if you say that one was a parable, what about the issue of Haram bint Malhan, the wife of Ubadah bin Samit, and of course Sulaim, who was the mother of Anas bin Malik. There was a report of Prophet ﷺ in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ was at the house of Haram bint Malhan, and she was playing with his head. And there's another hadith about Muhammad ﷺ sleeping, not sleeping per se, taking a nap at the house of Sulaim, and she was rubbing what can be described as a handkerchief on his body to collect his sweat. Collecting the water into a bowl. And when he woke up and he said, what do you want to do with this? And she said, we're collecting them for our children that they may be blessed with. So they said, why would those two women touch Prophet? One, of course, they were not his family. And some said, well, they were his family. Scholars do not want to bother you with that. They discussed that issue. But some said, no, they couldn't have been his family because both of them were from Medina. They were not from Mecca. Try it out, listen. Ẹyin kọ́ ẹyin dà. Àwọn bídà ló ṣẹlẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀. Wọ́n yé béèrè question lọ́wọ́ àfáà.
Wọ́n yé béèrè question lọ́wọ́ àfáà àwọn bídà ló ṣẹlẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀.
They will go on YouTube and search, Google and search, and they will wait for someone to come, like, a guest lecturer to come. And as soon as the person comes, and they will ask questions. And they will ask questions and make it seem as if they have never heard that before. Because they're looking for answers that will justify what they otherwise believe in. And all of these things I'm saying, you'll be surprised. There was a time we're discussing the issue of God with some women, and they are dug into. They actually brought one Quran, which commentary was written by some women to justify what they're saying. And therefore, a student of knowledge, especially when you do tafsir, you don't just read one ayah and just move on to the next ayah. That's why it's called tafsir. Tafsir is tashrih, sharh, right? You do in-depth analysis of the ayah. And what we're doing is not even in-depth. It's superficial. Because there are some grammatical implications of some ayahs that when you go into, I do not want to lose you. Are you all with me? Say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Because Haram and Sulaim were known to have touched Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. How come? Some said, well, because they were his family. Some said, no, they couldn't have been his family because they were from Medina. And I just told you a while ago that Sulaim, who was the mother of Anas bin Maliki, was in Medina. She gave, her daughter, her son rather, to Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He arrived in Medina. Some said,
يا أيها النبي إذا جاءك المؤمنات يبينك على أن لا يشركن بالله شيئا ولا يسرقن ولا يزنين ولا يقتلن أولادهن ولا يأتين ببهتان يفترينه بين أيديهن وأرجلهن ولا يأسينك في معروف فبايعهن
there are situations where men can shake women and women can shake men. الأول هو أن نعرف أن حكم تحريم مصافحة الرجال للنساء والعكس لا لتحكير مكان النساء بل سدا لذريعة عن الفتنة. The intent is just to ensure that we prevent the society from falling into what could eventually become uncontrollable fitna. We should all understand that. And also, situations where we're allowed to shake women. Number one is if a man can control his shahwa, if a man can control his lust, and this can only be controlled by the individual. You know the reason why, like I mentioned yesterday, you go to meetings, of course we exchange handshakes, right? But some men are so sick, which are, of course, if you remember when we're reading the verse about the voice, some men so sick that in their mind there is sickness that is only known by Allah. And for that reason, he knew why they were going into the house of Sallallahu. And knew why they were going into other people's homes as well. Not because they've come as friends, but they've come as what? As people with sick minds. So if a man can control shower, الأول أن المصافحة إنما تجوز عند عدم الشهوة وأمن الفتنة. If a man can control his shower and he's sure that it's not going to cause fitna, may Allah forgive all of us while we're in high school. All of you that are my peers and those behind us understand that handshake that I was talking about. If you can control your shower and you do not intend to cause fitna, of course you can shake. However, that doesn't mean that, okay, now so I can control my shower and I do not want to cause fitna, and you come to Zawiya, right? And you extend handshake to every woman. Well, that in itself is fitna. Now we're talking about you go to work, you mix your colleague, or you know, you have a meeting with clients or whatever. You don't tell a client I don't shake. That's been extreme, right? You're meeting your client for the first or whatever time, and you say, no, I don't shake hands. I mean, come on, man. That's not what we're saying. You guys have seen people that do that, right? But that's not what we're saying. Islam is explicit. It does not leave anything without discussing it. So if you can control your shower, and of course you know it's not going to lead to fitna. فإذا خفت الفتنة على هذه الطرفين أو وجدت الشهوة وتلذذ من أحدهما حرمت المصافحة بلا شك. But if we know that this person is promiscuous, even the sheikh can say, listen, you know what I'm a sower, I say, oh, I take a baby, can I'm a sumapo. I'm a sumapo, any musiba, Emilumi, Musiba, Emilumi, Musiba, nobody go for me and I go for Umveto Boka Kiriti, Tobale control shower. Tobale control shower. Tí ó sì lẹ́mi wípé aburú ló fẹ́ fi ṣe. Tí ó sì lẹ́mi wípé aburú ló fẹ́ fi ṣe. Ó lè bọ́ lọ́wọ́. Ó lè bọ́ lọ́wọ́ o. Èyí tó tẹ̀lé yẹn. Èyí tó tẹ̀lé dáhùn sọ yìí. Your mahram are people that you have formed familiarity with. Right? Some of us come over here, yani, move for the deen. We didn't know anyone when we're coming, and we came over here, we become families. Right? And as a matter of fact, we're closer to those families than we were to our blood family. Right? The daughters know us as their uncle, the son. So you can shake those ones. Again, that's still premised on what? You've been able to control your shahwa. We have kids over here that come around on Saturday. At least you have about 60 kids come around every Saturday. Some of the kids, you can tell all they need is just attention. Right? And they wonder, hey, when I come, especially when I come, and they've told them that whenever she comes, you guys just get up and say Salim ala Sheikhina and say Salam alaikum. But even at that, they do that to control the rush. But even at that, as soon as while they say it, or as soon as they finish saying, you see some of them rush forward, and most of them are women. Rather, they're girls, right? They want you to hug them, and so all of that, they are our kids, right? The restriction does not extend to them. Again, for as long as you can control your words, your shahwa. Right.
يا أيها النبي إذا جاءك المؤمنات يبينك على ألا يشركن بالله شيئا ولا يسرقن ولا يزنين ولا يقتلن أولادهن ولا يأتين ببهتان يفترينه بين أيديهن وأرجلهن ولا يأسينك في معروف فبايعوهن واستغفر لهن الله إن الله غفور رحيم.
فبايعوهن واستغفر لهن الله إن الله غفور رحيم. Those are the conditions under which a man can shake a woman, or the other way around. Also, I started an example yesterday of people who they just became Muslim and they don't know anything bad in you shaking a man. As matter of, they will see me and extend their hands. What should I do? Come on now. Of course, you shake hands with them, but even the way I shake hands with them, they know that I'm not very comfortable with shaking hands with them. Right? And they'll get the message. Because the intention is not to strip them of their humanity. Rather, you want to further entrench that they are people we should do what? We should respect. You can shake men all you want. Women are to be respected. They're to be dignified. The sickness in some people's mind, if only women know how much Islam respects them, there'll be no cause for feminism and all this crap that's going on. Islam has put in place. You have to understand these people. If, and I mentioned a while ago as well, if they will cite the example of a female slave, it tells you that their preference for male slave is even different from female slave. They use them for, entertainment and whatever. And there are books I've read, and the problem is, as soon as a book is written in Arabic language, we think it's de facto. No, some books are written in Arabic language and they're stupid. They don't make any sense. And I don't care how many verses of the Quran you bring, you can't justify it. The way they talk about, women because they're your slave and all this and that. No, that's unjustifiable. And you would see in the tone that that's not Islam talking, right? Those are the Arabs talking, not Islam. The same thing in Africa. In Africa till date, there are countries you go to and they have all these rituals, they call it festivals, where women will come bare naked. And they say it's festival. What stupid festival is that? You find more festivals like that degrading the nudity of women. Sometimes they put some whatever on them, and what kind of festival demystify women and strip them of their humanity? And that is why when Islam says use your hijab and all that, and you think, oh, that is harsh. Do you know what they were doing to women before Islam came? That gives you an example. In America, was it the male strip club that started before the female, or the other way around? The female. Is that more degrading or not? That a woman has to show her nakedness and dance on the pole before she can be given money. And you want to say Islam is mean to women? Islam does not respect women? How? How? And that is why the theme of our lecture this Ramadan is not Islam and women. No, it's Islam and humanity. What was their status before Islam, and what is their status during Islam? Islam has come to restore their dignity and further entrench their humanity. That they should not be treated like animals, and even animals should not be treated that way. Alright, let's see. Wọ́n ti ní ẹni tí ó múra dáadáa tí ń borí.
Wọ́n ti ní tó múra dáadáa tí ń borí.
Ìjà tí ẹlòmíì ní. One of the problems some people have with people like us is, oh, he's so Muslim, he's gonna ask me to cover my head, dude. What should I ask you to do? Dance on the pole? I'm like, what's wrong with you? What should I ask you to do? Expose your beauty to every damn person around? I was watching a clip one day, and this father, he had like a a small shirt on, and he had like a white beater, and of course, the guy was, mobily shaped. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not really. And so his daughter was going out, and he said he was going to go out with his daughter. And then I was like, Daddy, why are you dressed like this? And the man said, why are you dressed like this? If you can go out like that, I'll go out like this too. Some women who think it's right for them to just expose their cleavage, well, when you're going out, let your husband dress like that too now. Why D? Gbogbo yẹn lọ lè ra tank top.
Gbogbo wa ká lọ lè ra tank top o.
Wọ́n á ti gbé pàdé wọn, ilé ìgbé pàdé wọn.
Ilé ìgbé pàdé wọn.
Ẹbí kórin. Káwọn ẹni tí ọkọ ju wọlé.
Ẹgbẹ́jà fúnjà lọ.
Ìwọ ń bá àwọn ọ̀rẹ́jà pé àkọ́kọ́ owó yìí mi ò láìkẹ̀. Ìwọ náà lọ rọrùn ẹ̀. Ọ̀gbọ́n. Fírí kórin.
Kẹ́ fírí kórin.
Ẹ̀ẹ́dì àwọn bóyá ó dà bí ó dà.
Àwọn bóyá ó dà bí ó dà.
Tí wọ́n bá rò pé ọkọ rẹ̀ lè jáde, irú aṣọ òkúta wọlé àwọ̀ yìí. Irú aṣọ wọlé àwọ̀ àṣeyìn wọ̀rú ẹ̀.
Àṣeyìn kì í wọ̀rú ẹ̀.
Razaki ìyàwó jẹ́ wọ táǹtọ̀ ìmáníkò bọ̀ ọ́dà táǹtọ̀ bọ̀ kí máa ń pẹ́. Now go back to their voices.
Ya nisaa an-nabiyyi ma yati minkunna bi fahishatin mubayyinatin yudha'af laha al-'adhabu ad-di'fayn wa kana dhalika 'ala Allahi yasira.
What these have been treated as a father Islam does not give women voice. That is not true. We've established that, and we want to further establish it. Women can talk. They just have to talk like people of dignity. Why do you think, even in Africa, you have to pay dowry of a woman? And of course, she has it right. When you tie every damn thing to rights, and I always tell people, listen, America is a place of human rights. And this is how you have to think about it. If it gets to the point that people have to fight for something in 2020 in America, you should know that that thing in itself is bad for society. This is a country ordinarily that would allow you to marry a goat. But if it gets to the point that people have to go to court and say, give us our rights and that thing in its roots is bad. This country is loose enough that everyone can just, pick their own rights on the cotton, but they don't. If they have to fight for it, it tells you there is more evil to it than there is benefits. Islam allows women. As a matter of fact, there was an issue with, I think it was Abu Bakr, when he had given a fatwa about Kalala. There was a woman who corrected him. You guys know the story of Umar, when he was given khutbah, and a woman rose to say, this is wrong. And he accepted. And he said, everyone is more knowledgeable than Umar. There's never been a time in the history of Islam when Islam says women should not talk. Now there are situations. And again, this is going back to Islam acknowledging their humanity, their highly esteemed status. One of the conditions is women. You would have heard that Islam says women should not go to the graveyard, right? And I think we've discussed that one of the Zawiyah. That's not true. They can go. Well, before we go there, the Prophet says that women should not come to the masjid. He never said that. The Prophet never said women should not come to the masjid. If there is anything he said, what he said was, do not deprive the female servant of Allah the house of their Lord. It was said that Aisha, who said, لو أدرك الرسول ما كان عليه النساء اليوم لمنعهن المساجد. Aisha, who outlived the Prophet ﷺ, she said, if only the Prophet had lived lived long enough to witness what women are doing today, it would have barred them from coming to the masjid. Rasulullah, he says, لا تمنعوا إماء الله مساجد الله. Do not bar the female servant of Allah from the house of their Lord. The Risala, the message of Islam, was sent to us through who?
Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sọ́bẹ̀ dada. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Àwọn obìnrin ẹ̀kí wọ́n wí jù. Tọ́lọ́ wọn kì í ṣe ilé kẹ́ni wọ́n wà yóò wọn kì í ṣe òun bí. Bàbá ń kọ́ ní ìkàtà wá ní ẹwà òun bí dábàdélé. Ilé òun ní ìṣe òun lé wọn. Ilé òun ní ìṣe òun bẹ́ẹ̀. Ayé yóò mọ̀ sí fájúwà tó ní ìrìn.
يا أيها النبي ما يأتي منكن بفاحشة مبينة.
Nígbà tí bàbá ọdún ti ń bọ̀ wá, ọlọ́run jẹ́ wọ́n lè máa ràn án lọ́wọ́. Wọ́n lè máa ràn án lọ́wọ́.
أيدكم الله بنصره آمين.
The voice. Aisha said, so we've all agreed that the person that was sent to us by Allah was who? Muhammad.
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Aisha would teach, Aisha will relate the message of her husband, but say that Aisha was not a de facto in her religion. You understand what I'm saying? The Mafa, when she was about to be buried, she cried that she should not be buried. When she was about to die, she cried that she should not be buried next to her husband because she was afraid that because of the war that occurred between her and Ali, her husband wouldn't have been happy with that. So he said, do not bury me next to my husband because I've done bidah after his demise. So we take lessons from Sayyidah Aisha, but we do not take instructions from her. Not because she was a woman, just like we don't take instruction from any other person except who? Muhammad. In wafaqa ra'ya Muhammadin naqbil wa illa narud wa kullun yukhadh minhu wa yurad illa sahib hadha al-qab. If what they tell us is in line with what Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, we do what? We take it. So in essence, we're not taking it from them, right? We're taking it from who? Muhammad. If it goes against what Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, we do not care their status. We don't take it from them, men or women. What Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says was, you should not deprive the female slave of Allah entering the entrance rather into the house of Allah. Who said that?
Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
That was our messenger. His wife was the one who said, if the Prophet had lived long enough to see what women are doing in the masjid today, he would have barred them from the masjid. That was just an opinion. He probably would have barred them, maybe not. It was not there to answer. Some use that to say women should not come to the masjid. When you go around, the last place to consider is a space for women. Have you noticed that? One, of course, in reality, when it comes to the masjid, we have them in multitude, more than men. When it comes to contribution, they're the ones that contribute the most. They contribute their money, they contribute their effort, they contribute their service, they contribute their, peacemaking. If two men are fighting in the masjid, it's very easy to resolve that. It may not even go beyond that. Hopefully the man will not go and tell his wife. Oh boy. Let me repeat that statement again. If two men are fighting in the masjid, they're quarreling, it's very easy to resolve it. Hopefully, he does not go to tell his wife. Because they're so caring. And they'll take it beyond where the husband stopped. Now imagine if the initial people that were fighting or quarreling are the women. They don't have to go home and tell their husband though. Right there they will form a party. There will be Labour Party versus APC, and PDP is in trouble. And however, there will be independents. And wallahi, you're just going to see Sheikh is just losing weight. You don't know why. Because you're not going to be able to resolve it. I do not care where you turn. It's either Sheikh is siding this or Sheikh is siding that. So when they say women should not come to the masjid, it wasn't the Prophet that said that. It was because of the evil The Lord said that they should not use their hand and their legs to start evil, because evils were starting to be traced back to women, and for that reason Aisha said if her husband had lived long enough to see what women are doing today, it would have brought them to the masjid. And sincere women would also attest to that as well. Another issue about their voice, when they're in the masjid, they don't raise their voice in the masjid. They can talk among one another. Women can lead women when they're praying. Women cannot lead men when you're praying. Listen, forget Islam. Women leading women in prayer. Do you know how we pray? Imagine your imam is a woman. I see a clip of this stupid video. I think it was in California. Again, the feminists say, well, we're Muslim, and if men should lead, we will lead as well. And you see a woman in front leading the men in prayer. Well, your guess is as good as mine. This is what Islam is trying to prevent, because if you leave the door open, there will be problems. Ìyàwó gan tó ti ẹ̀mọ́ kí ó jọkọ lọ́nlé kò ní kírun fọ́kọ.
Ìyàwó gan tó mọ kí ó jọkọ lọ́nlé kò ní kírun fọ́kọ o.
Ọkọ yà gbé kíní dání ni, bó bá sì dàrú lọ́mọ tó bá dàrú mọ́ lọ́wọ́ kó ka national anthem.
Ọkọ yà gbé Kùránì dání ni láti kírun fún ọ̀jọ̀wọ́ rẹ̀ lé tó bá dàrú lọ́wọ́ kó ka national anthem Nàìjíríà bẹ́ẹ̀.
Agbára tọ́lọ́ fún obìnrin nìyẹn.
Agbára tọ́lọ́ fún obìnrin nù.
If a man and his wife are praying at the house, the man has to stand like this, and the woman stand about a foot or 2 feet away from him to his right side. Not next to him. Not next to him, because listen, men, we're the weakest of all people. We claim to be strong, but we know we're not. The same clothes the woman had been wearing all this while, the same cologne she's been wearing, the same powder she's been wearing, that for some reason did not see it. Ayala salat, Abama you call him. كل الحوادث مبدأ من النظر ومعظم النار كلي كل الحوادث مبدأ من النظر ومعظم النار من مستصغر الشرر ومعظم النار من مستصغر الشرر. wọ́n kí n lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ ọkọ rẹ̀.
Wọ́n kí n lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ ọkọ rẹ̀.
wọ́n náà gbé ní kásámù.
Ní kásámù o.
ẹ̀rọ tó bá ti gbà fọ́lọ́ lórí rẹ̀ nìkan ló kù.
tó bá ti gbà fọ́lọ́ lórí rẹ̀ nìkan ló kù o.
àmọ́ tó mara mú. tó mọ gbogbo ẹ ṣe. irun náà ò ní pé o.
irun yẹn ò ní pé o. láàbọ̀ ló kì í.
ó jọ wáyé pé ànábìyàn pé ẹ̀sìn ni ọmọ àlè kò mọ kéwù fa so ibi kéwù yìí ni máa ń bá.
kéwù yìí ni ló máa ń bọ̀ kí. àgbàpá sókè ànábìyàn sọ pé sí ni.
That's why they do not lead prayers, to prevent fitna. To say that, listen, you guys are stronger than us, we're weak. You guys know we're weak. All head of states who happen to be tyrants eventually were clamped by women. It got to a point in Nigeria when Abacha was going to hire the toughest of all security guards. It was female Israeli. It was female Israeli soldiers, not even men. Oh, but you put your back over here. One the mama buying. Oh, but one mama buying. You want to have a Abacha to a barrel you bikini na? Oh, God, you buy like wow. Yeah. That is why they cannot lead in prayer, not because of anything else. That's why they can't be imam. Not because of anything else. So the feminists in America who are Muslims, this is America. One of the rules to be an American, you've got to carry an American passport. You have to have a social security number. You've got to pay your tax if you work. Those are the conditions that are applicable to be an American. If you're Nigerian, the case is different. If you're a Muslim woman, these are conditions that are attached to being a Muslim woman. It cannot be bent because of you. لا يعصينك في المعروف it will never promulgate any law that is intended to bring down the status of women. Another one that talks about their voice, which was the reason why some suggest that they should, as a matter of fact, there's an hadith that says, they said, and I think I debunked that in one of our sittings, that they said, the Prophet said, may Allah curse any woman that goes to visit the grave. It's not true. It's not true. But why some frown upon them going to the grave is this. Because when they come to do bay'ah, one of the conditions it gives them is that they should not be wailing. ليس منا من ضرب الخدود وشق الجيوب ودعا بدعوى الجاهلية. When things happen, as a Muslim man and a Muslim woman, الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. When they are afflicted by what Allah has portioned for them, they will only say, from Allah we come and unto Him we shall return. As tough as women can be, when it comes to emotions, they're very weak. And therefore, they do not only weep, they do not only cry. يَضْرُبْنِ الْخَدُودَ. You see them slapping themselves on the face because someone dies. وَشَقُّ الْجُيُوبَ. You see them tearing their clothes. When the woman cries outside, and of course you guys have seen this, as soon as she receives the bad news, she goes ahead and do what? And tears her clothes, forgetting that Allah has put in her something of high esteem. She overreacts. And in overreacting, she causes fitna. And some men whose mind is extremely sick, what they want to do, they want to act as if they're rubbing around her so she does not expose herself. But it's not true. You guys have seen clips. You be on buses sometimes, you see some men, especially the homeless. When I was in school, we were in clinical one day, and there was a girl in my class called, I forgot her name, and we're doing clinicals at the psych, wards. And there was this guy, each time would come in the morning, and would just be singing this girl's name. And this particular day, all of us were sitting, and this guy came around, and was looking straight down into that lady's bosom. And of course, you could imagine how she dressed as well, right? So now imagine a woman who, as soon as she receives the bad news, she tears her clothes, started hitting herself, rolling on the floor. That is why an-nayaha is one of the things that it says do not do. You cannot be wailing as a Muslim woman. Because when you say that, لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنِ ضَرَبَ الْخَدُودَ وَشَقَّ الْجُيُوبَ وَدَعَى بِدَعْوِي الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ. It says it's none of us. That woman who slaps her own face, who tears her clothes, and starts to wail and curse using words that the ignorant ones use. If Islam does not respect your place as human being, why would he say they curse like the ignorant ones? It does not say they curse and they become ignorant. It says you are better. Everybody say you are better than that. That's what Islam is saying. It's saying you are better than that. Be able to put yourself together. Only for job be honest. Tabani kí wọ́n lọ yan nẹ́fìlà nísìn kọ́ yan 200 wọ́n láwọn ọkùnrin wọ̀nyí wọ́n lè má ti yan mẹ́wàá ní wọ́n ti sùn àwọn tí yẹn ò jẹ́ wọn gbádùn èyí tí ẹ̀rọ fún wọn yẹn jẹ́ ìyẹn ẹ̀rọ yóò jẹ́ ní ìtùnú àmàlà ní ó jẹ́ ń sáré ibi sáré ó ti máa pè wọ́n ṣe kíní gíra yẹn kú gíra yẹn pè bí wàá yẹ́pọ̀ nìkan ni wọ́n dáwẹ̀ fún ẹ wá ní wọ́n yan nẹ́fìlà àfáàyè
ẹ̀rọ kúmọ́lá obìnrin sí
ìyá yìí só parí ètò kù ọlọ́run fún àwọn obìnrin lágbára òun yàn tán tọ́dọ̀ mọ̀ kí èèwọ̀ bàbá ní bàbá ní bàbá àwọn ọmọ tòun lòun ṣe ti kí ni o tòun torí wọ́n yàn tọ́yì èyí tẹ́ wá gbà fọ́nà tó bá wọn tí wàá làwọn adé tẹ́ wá gbà púpọ̀ náà ni tó ìjà àbùtọ̀ fi yàn náà ló wàá sọnù kí ọlọ́run erúkẹ́ lóye fún yìí táwọn ni wọ́n ní àwọn 150 million ni wọ́n nìkan ló make ẹ̀. About money, when the man ejaculates once, based on what we taught, it's 150 sperms. Only you made it. Who are you? When, of course, the problem is you're far away from the Quran. The Quran had said Allah would do that anyway. About Baba day, inna al-ayna la tadma, ولكن لن نقول إلا ما يرضي ربنا. Even men, when it happens, they cry. Muhammad
sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
his son Ibrahim died, he wept, and they said, even you Muhammad, you're crying. He said, it is the nature of the eyes to weep, to shed tears. إن العين لتدمع ولكن لن نقول إلا ما يرضي ربنا وإن على وفاتك يا إبراهيم لمحزونون. The eyes will weep, but we will not say except what pleases our Lord. Oh, Sinto, see. You can cry, you can. I'm not going to say, hey, Allah, you lazy. Allah, jaga wore. Allah, ya. Alaji. That's the Lord. I will be name. Bọ́n ṣe mọ́ lọ́wọ́ sí tó.
wọ́n ṣe mọ́ lọ́wọ́ sí tó.
ọgbọ́n. وما وعدناك من خير وما وعدناك من شر وفينا به وما وعدناك من خير فما مثله وما وعدناك من خير إن النساء إذا ينهين عن خلق فإنه واجب لا بد مفعوله فإنه واجب لا بد مفعوله. النساء إذا ينهين عن خلق bọ́bá ti ń bọ́ wọn lọ́wọ́ ni wọ́n máa wọ̀ ká.
bọ́bá ti ń bọ́ wọn lọ́wọ́ ni wọ́n máa wọ̀ ká.
فإنه واجب لا بد مفعوله. bóbìnrin bá ní gbogbo záwíà yìí á make sure pé ibi yóò gba èrò wà láìkò ní gbẹ̀rù.
nígbà èrò tàbá fẹ́ jẹ́ kí ó má gba èrò ní.
níbi tí wọ́n dáadé.
níbi tí wọ́n dáadé.
tó wá ní wo wàláì ẹ̀ ní rí eku gbélé pẹ́ẹ́rẹ́ yẹn.
ẹ̀ ní rí eku gbélé pẹ́ẹ́rẹ́ yàn. ológun.
àmọ́ ní kinní kan tó ń pè lẹ́nu.
àmọ́ ní kinní kan ẹnu ní.
a sọ pé woman and humanity. so ẹnu yẹn ó lè fi sọ dé yẹn.
ẹnu yẹn ó lè fi sọ dé yẹn.
ẹnu náà ó lè fi bà tiẹ̀ jẹ́.
ó lè fi bà tiẹ̀ jẹ́ o.
Binasiru.
But Tinubu kò rí pé fún àfa rẹ̀. Then his acceptance speech, he did not say, I thank my sheikh who have been praying for me. He said, my wife, she's a very prayerful woman.
Ayadakumullahu binasiru.
Ó sọ ní pé èèyàn tó ń di àlọ́ sọ̀rọ̀ dèèyàn.
ìyàwó ẹ̀.
Therefore, the voice, that is the reason they said they should not go to the graveyard. Because when they get there, they start rolling on the grave and say, oh, you're better than that. You're more dignified than that. You're the reason why we're here. If you're not here, we're not going to be here. You are the human that reflects to us. ولا تانسوا لاسم الشمس عيب ولا تذكروا فخر للهلال ولا تذكروا فخر للهلال. Jẹ́kẹ́ àwọn obìnrin bọ́lá ń ṣe ní ẹ̀rí bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́rí ni. لو كان النساء كما ذكرنا لفضلت النساء على الرجال. لفضلت النساء على الرجال. kọrin fún anabi.
obìnrin kọrin fún anabi wa Muhammad. amayanju yẹ.
a wà lọ síbi dáhùn òbí máa gbọ́ òun náà nìkan máa promise èèyàn ò sí nítòsí.
ní pé kó máa promise èèyàn.
a ní ohun wọn kì í ṣe òwòsẹ́.
ohun wọn kì í ṣe òwò.
kọ́ndíṣà lóde tóbìnrin kọrin fún anabi ó kọrin ó sì dùn ohùn sórin náà.
ó kọrin fún anabi ó sì dùn ohùn sí i.
èmi kí ló wí.
àkọlà wí o.
àti fi báyìí màkítàlàfà fi الألباني وابن عثيمين وابن باز ترى أهل السنة
لعل látijọ́ yìí.
ọ̀nà làálọ̀ bá a sì ti lọ́la àálọ̀ ní jimá tí ń bọ̀ wá. ọ̀rọ̀ ìfànà bí ìwọ náà èyí tó fi ń já pàràpàrà ńlẹ̀ mórí ọ̀rọ̀ ìfọkọ rẹ̀ àwọn èébú nìkan ló máa kọ́. ẹ̀láì kọ̀ọ̀kan bẹ̀. èmi family house ló gbé. ìyàwó tọkọ fẹ́ràn lọ́kọ nígbẹ́ àwọn náà nìyẹn. ìyàwó tọkọ fẹ́ràn lọ́kọ nígbẹ́. alọ́jì ìyálé òní báyìí. alábàánàmọ́kọ̀ onímọ̀lì àbí hamza tala àyàtìínà yàgùdọ́bù islam náà dìlìbà nínà yàgùtù fi bẹ́ẹ̀ ti ẹ̀yìn mọ̀kọ́ ọlọ́la. ẹ̀yìn mọ̀kọ́ ọlọ́la. ó ní wàláhì obìnrin láyé والله ما ذلك في أيدينا ونحن كالعبيرة زرينا ننبت ما قد زرعوا فينا ìtura ni pé ìyàwó tọkọ fẹ́ràn lóko ní gbé ìyàwó tọkọ fẹ́ràn lóko ní gbé lágbára náà fi sọ̀tẹ̀ ni olójìyàn kọmọ lásán lára tẹ́rẹ́ lè jí káńfẹ́ wọ́n mẹ́gbẹ̀ wọ́n tí ó gbé jù.
àyàdà kó lọ́hùn.
ìyàwó tọkọ fẹ́ràn lóko ló ń gbé.
ẹ̀gbọ́n ní.
àwọn ìyá wa wọ́n tẹ̀wọ́ nísìn.
àwọn ìyá wa tẹ̀wọ́ nísìn.
wọ́n lórí ṣe mí lẹ́ni ọkọ ń fẹ́ orí ṣe mí lẹ́ni ọkọ ń fẹ́. sórí wọ́n tọkọ rẹ tí kìíní ilé wọn ti jẹ sí lórí àbàtìkúta fẹ́ sínú níṣẹ́ àfibẹ́ lọ́hùn fún.
àbàtìkúta fẹ́ sínú níṣẹ́ àfibẹ́ lọ́hùn fún.
tí kì í wọlé ní àwọn aago ńláńláńlá aago mẹ́sàn-án oníwọlé mẹ́wàá méjì aago owó kékeré ní máa wọlé
aago kékeré bí
aago méjì
ní máa wọlé.
wọ́n ní oríṣẹ́ mi lẹ́ni ọkọ ń fẹ́ o.
oríṣẹ́ mi lẹ́ni ọkọ ń fẹ́.
òfẹ́ yóò ṣe wàhálà.
oríṣẹ́ mi lẹ́ni ọkọ ń fẹ́.
ìtumọ̀ ni ọmọ jẹ gbárùn.
oríṣẹ́ mi lẹ́ni ọkọ ń fẹ́.
ọlọ́wọ́
abẹ́ ṣinú sìn.
abẹ́ ṣinú báyìí.
ní oníkálukú ọmọ jò dàrú. àwọn ìyá wa.
àwọn ìyá wa.
àwọn ọmọ wa lóbìnrin.
àwọn ọmọ wa lóbìnrin.
àwọn sisters wa.
àwọn sisters wa.
àwọn apọ̀ wọn lẹ́jọ́ báyìí lọ.
àwọn lẹ́jọ́ báyìí lọ.
alágbára nù rẹ̀. ala subhanallah wa bihamdihi
subhanallahil azim.
كلمتان خفيفتان على اللسان ثقيلتان في الميزان حبيبتان إلى الرحمن سبحان الله
وبحمده سبحان الله العظيم.
سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام